What up, positive vibrators tuning in around the world? In today's episode, we have Sherman the Realtor reppin Atlanta, Georgia. He talks about the real estate market last year during the pandemic, what Magic City is really like, and his thoughts on the current climate of America. Hope you guys enjoy this episode.
The burnt egg roll?
Damn, man, it's been a long time.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It has been, man.
Years. I'm all grown now, bro.
Yeah, I know, man. I haven't seen you in a while. I like your shirt, man. That's just nice.
Thanks, man.
I had to rock a polo too today, man.
I didn't know at first. I was like, do I need to put on a t-shirt?
You just came back from your trip, huh? San Juan, Puerto Rico. How was it?
Man, it was cool. It was the first time I'd ever been down there. It was like a lot of nice people. A lot of people was just kind of doing their own thing. Everyone was on vacation. Mm-hmm. And but they had a curfew down there.
Oh, due to the pandemic?
Yeah. But it was cool. Other than that, I had a good time.
So what time were they making people go home?
Like 11:30. 11:30, like throughout the week, but then like on like a weekday, because I was there like Monday and Tuesday too. And they made you go in at like 9:30.
Oh, okay. Damn. So when you went out to like restaurants or like if you visited any bars, were people pretty like heavily masked up?
Everybody's masked up. You can't go in without it. Puerto Rico doesn't even play with that. I'm coming from Atlanta, so I'm like, they like mask.
That's one of the funny things I think is that like all countries they all handle their people differently. You know what I mean? And like some countries are more strict, some are more lenient.
That's true.
Even within America too, like states handle the situation differently. You know what I mean? Different situations differently. So
not Georgia, because we're all the way open, and you can wear a mask or you don't have to. But
I want to talk about that down the line in this conversation, like how you ended up in Atlanta, Georgia, because my brother Cliff, he's in ATL too.
Yeah, you told me that.
Yeah.
How long has he been here?
He's been there for a minute. At least I want to say maybe like 5-6 years.
Oh wow!
But
wow,
I forgot I think he was in like either Lawrenceville or like or Beaufort or somewhere like that. I can't remember.
Oh, he's not in Atlanta. He's in Georgia. He in Georgia, and that's because like that's so far away. Like that's like an hour and a half outside of the city. Like depending on traffic.
Yeah, Cliff's one of those. He's one of my brothers that like I don't really keep up with that as much as I should, because like different, like we're living like different lives and we have a lot of different like views like politically and things of that nature. So we don't have that type of stuff in common, like so.
Wow, like, even politically?
Yeah, even politically.
You would think that like everybody in the family is like on the same page.
It's kind of one of those things where like. Me from when I was a kid. I'm more like, and I'm still like that to this day. Like I'm more like liberal, free-minded thinking, and I'm more about like progressive. Like how can we progress things and make things better? But I think he's more on that conservative side. I want to,
that's kind of how we were raised. He just kind of stuck with it. Sometimes you gotta be able to like cut it on and cut it off because that's how you really relate with people. Mm-hmm. And if you aren't able to do that, then that shows that you just kind of have like a one-track mind.
Yeah, and I was gonna ask you like on that note, like growing up, we grew up in Collinsville. I mean, were you born and raised in Collinsville?
No, originally I was born in Honolulu, Hawaii. My dad was military, and so we kind of moved all around a lot. And then I ended up moving to Collinsville back in like 5th grade. And then from there, I just kind of stayed until it was time for me to go off to college.
Where did you go to middle school?
I went to North.
Oh, okay.
North Junior High.
Before you went to North Junior High, like, and you moved around, like, what different places did you live in?
We lived in North Carolina. I lived in Augusta, Georgia before. We lived over in Okinawa, Japan. And then we lived somewhere in California, but I was a little too young to remember that piece. But I do remember everything on from there.
Okay. And are you you're an only child?
Only child.
Okay. Got you.
But I do have 2 siblings on my dad's side. I have 2 sisters.
Oh, okay. Got it. What was your thoughts and feelings when you moved to Collinsville?
When I moved to Collinsville, it showed me more of like a family environment. because we had always lived on bases, and you know, it was just kind of like sometimes it may be apartment living or townhome living. And then when I moved to Collinsville, it showed me something different. Like it showed me like this is like what a home looks like outside of what my grandparents' house looked like.
Got you. For me, like it's hard because I was an Asian kid, and there's not that many Asian people in Collinsville, St. Louis area in general. And so I could see like there's a white side, there's a black side. But for me, I was more into like hip hop and basketball. That was my thing. So naturally, you know, I got along with both sides, but I see both sides. You know, I have friends from both races.
Right.
But you saw me when I was young, like I dressed hip hop. I still do today.
Oh.
but for you used to rock a lot of like Aeropostale and Abercrombie. Like, did you ever get like shit for that when you were a kid? Or?
I think for me, I've always was paying attention to what was kind of trending. And so no one ever really put me in front of that. Like my aunts, you know, they were high-end shoppers, like when we were growing up. So whenever I would go around some of my aunts, you know, we're going to Neiman Marcus and we're going to like Lord & Taylor and things like that. So for me, I'm like, shit, let's get the polo. And so the Tommy, the Nautica, you know, I've always wanted to be into that. And then like I noticed that my mom always wanted to kind of keep me with a polo on, which is kind of why I'm rocking one today. But when it got down to it, I saw like a prep side that I thought that was kind of fly. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of when I started kind of veering more towards like Abercrombie and stuff like that. You know, I still kind of kept the polo thing going, but it just kind of like more swayed that way.
Yeah.
Because of the environment that I was in.
Mm-hmm. Got you. You know how mainstream media, they always like to label people, right? They always say, I'll give you an example. Like there's been a recent thing on like Asian hate crimes, right?
Yeah.
Like the past couple of weeks. And you know, it's crazy, it's unfortunate, but you know, knowing the history of our country, like there's been a lot of negative things against like Asian people throughout our history since Asians have come to this country. So with that, when I see certain things like that in the media, I sympathize, I empathize with them, but like I might not feel the same way as different Asians that speak up about it. You know what I mean?
Is it more so because it's not really affecting you directly?
I think it's more for just how my mind was raised growing up in the Midwest, you know? I didn't have any Asian friends. So like in my mind, it's like, who do you think you are? Who do you conceptualize in your mind? Are you? And I never thought of myself as just an Asian person. You know what I mean?
For real, I thought you was black.
Sometimes I wake up and I think I am, man.
Shit. But hey, you know, so it's just whoever you want to be that day.
Yeah.
But play with it. You know, it's your life.
Yeah. I don't like how the mainstream, they try to label like all black people as one way. You know what I mean? You know, with any race, there's different levels or different types of people within every race, you know?
Let's unpack that a little bit. Mm-hmm. Well, one, I grew up military, so I've never seen that side. I've never been disrespected, called racist slurs, like none of that. Like I never dealt with that. Like, and you know, I lived in Collinsville.
Yeah.
You know, never dealt with that. And then, you know, because everywhere that I've lived has always been like a military base kind of near. So I think everyone kind of has the same like values per se. But I never really realized or dealt with racism until I moved to the South.
Yeah.
And that was when I was 27?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like fully grown, you know, but.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off. What was like an example like in the South that you like, you kind of felt it, you know?
I was working at this charity golf course with my golf. It was a golf fundraiser for my job. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, I was kind of out there just kind of monitoring and things like that. And I had this man like tell me that I didn't belong out there. And he told me, he was like, you're not supposed to be over here, you know, this, that, and the other, who let you out here, you know, things like that. And so
I'm assuming this is like a old Caucasian male, probably, right?
Definitely.
Was he, and how old do you think he was, if you had to guess?
He probably was in his like 50s or 60s at that time. But he was like so serious and so stern with it. And me, you know, I don't think like that. So for me to deal with that, like, it took me to another place. Like, is this the time that I'm supposed to like fight? you know, or am I supposed to like, disrespect him, but, I kind of kept it cool and just kind of left it. But I do want to say that has stuck with me since I moved here, and everything else kind of flowed after that, like the protests and all that. So I'm like really kind of paying attention. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Dealt with the run-in with the cop before,
Down in ATL?
In Atlanta, yeah. Coming out of the grocery store, I had went and grabbed some stuff for lunch. And so I saw him in the parking lot. And so, I hopped in my car, I got on a suit, I'm headed back to work. And at that time, like I was driving a BMW, black guy, but like everybody here drives like that.
Yeah.
So I didn't think nothing of it. I just hopped in and I went. He pulled me right over and asked me who car was I in. He also asked me, a couple other kind of like crazy questions. And me, like, I don't deal with police like that. So, I almost flipped out on him,
Yeah.
But I had to take a step back with that. And I had to think, I was like, this is what we really deal with here in the South. And for me, it's something that is very hard for me to like really adjust my life to. Because like you say, we come from an area where everyone kind of just, we dealt with each other. We didn't have no issues, not that I knew of, but we didn't have any issues that you had to deal with things like that on a regular basis.
Yeah.
But to come down.
You never got like shit from like maybe like your peers at that time in high school, like saying, why do you dress in Aeropostale style or Abercrombie? Why don't you dress like how we dress? Like, and I say we, but like,
Right.
That
I've always had a versatile dress style. So I wear what I want. If my money can afford it, then why can't I not have it?
Yeah.
So, but no, I never received anything like that. Yeah. I really didn't.
Yeah. I mean, I've had people tell me in high school and shit, say shit like you're not black and this and that, but I know that, but I'm like, yo, I like how they dress. I like that style,
But then you go to other places and people are dressing like that on a whole different styles, like white, black, Asian. Like I've never seen so much Asian culture. Well, living here, that they dress up in like urban attire, like they get the nice stuff like that, that we kind of step out in. So I've never saw an issue with it.
Yeah. There isn't no issues, but like I guess there's always ignorant people in any race that hates, if they see other people like doing well or like different than what the norm, what quote unquote what they think is normal in their mind, right? They find a reason to hate. But yeah, you're right. Everybody should be free to express themselves how they want to.
True.
At the end of the day. So where did you go to college at?
I went to college at the University of Kansas.
Oh, okay.
Went there for a little bit, because I really wanted to play football, but I wanted to try to figure some things out with it. But I went there, and then I ended up transferring to the University of Missouri, Kansas City.
Okay.
That's where I graduated from.
Got you. University of Kansas, that's a pretty well-known like basketball school. Like, did you ever go to any of the games while you were there?
Yeah, I did. I went to both basketball and football games.
Oh, okay. Who were like the major stars at that time you were there on the basketball team?
Was it like Chalmers? I forgot who else was on there.
Did you ever like kick it or run into him or anybody on the team?
No, I ran into some of the other like players, like some of like the like maybe some of the other second string, things like that. Because some of us may have had classes together, but like none of the star athletes.
Oh, okay. What made you transfer to the other school?
It was a funding issue. It was like really, really expensive. And so I felt that I would get more benefit, scholarship wise, if I went to the University of Missouri.
Oh, okay. Got you. That's what's up. And then what did you major in?
I have a bachelor's degree in marketing with a minor in finance.
Oh, okay. That's what's up. And then what led you into real estate?
I took a vocational class at Collinsville High School, man. And I had this teacher who saw that I had a real true interest in it. And so he was like, I'm gonna hook you up with my brother. He has a construction company, things of that nature. So I started working with him. And from there, like I worked with him for like 2 or 3 years. And then from there, it just kind of went on from there. Like when I went off to college, like he told me you should go to school for engineering. But during that time, the market was crashing. And then from there, I just got into like mortgage banking. And then from there, I started getting into real estate. Like that was something that I felt like that was always been my path.
How many years have you been doing it now for?
On the sales side, I've been doing it for 5 years. But I've had my hands in real estate ever since 2003.
Oh, okay. So, man, it's been a minute, man. 17, 18 years almost.
Yeah.
So you've been in ATL now, you said, for how many years?
7 years.
7 years. There was like a lot of like controversy in Georgia this past year about the voting, right? What were your thoughts on that?
I thought that it was crazy. I never knew or understood why, but then I had to kind of start doing a little bit more research, and I understand that Georgia really has a lot of power of things that we have in, over the United States. Like they're the last conservative state. Mm-hmm. I learned that more so when I was in real estate school here about how Georgia really kind of set the standard for a lot of things professionally. So I kind of understood from that perspective of why they were trying to like keep things in certain places, because they're so used to doing things and they're not open for change. But I did see a lot of it.
Mm-hmm. Got you. During the pandemic, like when it started back last year, what was your initial thoughts going through your mind at that time? Because it was almost a year ago, a little bit over a year ago now.
Yeah. Initially, it was frightening. I'm not gonna lie, because I had went to work, and when I walked up to the door, they said no one can come in. Like the building is completely locked down. Like, and then you turn on the news, and it's like everyone has to wear a mask. Everyone needs to be at home. My initial thought, I really didn't know what to do. Mm-hmm. It went back biblically for me. At that point, it did. I was like, well, I guess the world is coming to an end. You start thinking about Revelations. But, you do, you really do at that point, because like, we've never thought that we would experience something like this in our lifetime.
Yeah, true. Do you live by yourself, or do you have like anybody you stay with?
I live alone.
Oh, okay. So that makes, yeah.
I have my own spot here.
So that probably made it even more like kind of scary for you, because you don't have anybody to like kind of like close to you, like in your home, to be like, okay, this is what we got to do. It's all you, right? You got to think.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, the thing is, before I moved here, I was like at the beginning of the pandemic, I was like living with a friend of mine, and so because I was getting ready to buy a home, and so I had moved in with them. I said, let me save some money for a little while, and then the pandemic hit. Yeah. And from there, it was just, it was someone there, but, everyone's doing their own professional stuff. We all had to set up our own individual offices and things like that. So I never thought about it because I kept going, but it was just more so, I'm now virtually.
Got you. Okay. But you do still go out, I'm assuming, to show people cribs and stuff, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. I have to do that. That's something that continues. That's why I stated, like, I never felt like I stopped. I just had to kind of be a little bit more safer than someone else.
Mm-hmm. Got you. How would you say the real estate market has changed from when the pandemic started till today?
It jumped tremendously. Here it's like it's more demand than it is supply. And so it's very hard now. Like when the pandemic first hit, I was getting calls left and right. I had clients. I had so many clients I didn't know what to do with, And so from there, it was just like, wow, people are really like, they're panicking. They're spending all their money. And like a lot of people weren't buying just like, $150,000 homes. They buying $500,000, $600,000, $800,000, $900,000 homes. I'm like, shit.
That's good though. I guess for every negative, there's always a positive, right?
Yeah.
What are some interesting stories, if you have any, that have happened throughout your time in real estate?
Nothing unusual. I would just say that every transaction that I've dealt with has been different. Like it's never been the same. Like I've learned something different, or there was a new challenge in each client that I dealt with.
Okay.
But the craziest thing I would say that I dealt with was a person buying a home, but their mom is making all the decisions.
How do you deal with that when you see something like that?
You immediately see who the decision maker is.
Uh-huh.
And so what you do is you go straight to them and you start talking to them, like, what do you like? You start calling them, asking them for advice, because the thing is, sometimes you have to switch it up, because at the end of the day, she may be paying for this house, but it's just going in its name, So, but what I did was, I've had, various clients that had friends or other members of their family, brought along the way. And it was a challenge at first, but you realize what you have to do. And sometimes you have to just switch gears.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good. That you've been in the game enough that I feel like you probably can recognize certain things faster now that you've dealt with certain things in the past.
Yeah, it actually helps me deal with people in life too.
Give us some examples. How so?
Well, you just know when you're dealing with someone or you meet someone new, they may have people around them that, in order for you to really get with that person, you gotta go through their friends first.
Yeah. How do you deal with adversity, like within your industry? Like, I'm sure not everything is always peachy and rosy in any industry, right? There's always adversity, but I'm sure you've probably had to deal with some, maybe tougher clients to deal with, or like situations that you had higher expectations, but then maybe some deals fell through. Like, how do you deal with it?
At first, I did take it personally. I felt like, what did I do wrong in this situation, and what can I do better? And sometimes I've reached out to a client and asked, but a lot of it wasn't personal, and you have to really think about it. Like, all this is business, and people feel as though they want what they want, but they have to have someone else hear it. So when I've learned how to deal with the client in that manner, that's just kind of how I move forward. So now, I don't take it personally. I had a client that once she had a small budget, but she had like $1 million wish list. I can't put all of this in here, and you only have $100,000. A lot of this has to come off. So, a lot of this has to come off.
Yeah.
But what I've learned was, when she fired me, I said, at first I did take it very personally, but I thought about it. I was like, things happen for a reason, and you were never going to close a deal for her. So let her get rid of you now. And then maybe like a day later, the new realtor contacted me and was like, I knew that you were dealing with X client and this, that, and the other. How are you handling with this crazy ass lady? I'm like, I just let it go. She fired me, and I'm like, let someone else handle that. But he was like, don't worry about it. This happens all the time in real estate.
I can see that. And before I got into what I'm doing now, I used to be a personal trainer at a 24-hour fitness, and then I went independent for a little bit. But dealing with people, it's one of the, I think it could be one of the more challenging things in life, you know. And I think, but it's a skill, and it's an art that takes time to develop. And I think the more you experience talking and dealing with different kinds of people, and then also reading I think different books and having some type of context about how to deal with certain situations, that all culminates into your presentation and your package, and it all helps.
It all does help. And I think that from that, it opens us up, because a lot of it, we meet people every day. And every time you meet someone, you're going to learn something new about them, or you'll see something just totally different, their thought process or just how they move in life. And if you're open to that, that just kind of really expands you as an individual.
Yeah. And you can probably read certain situations earlier now, right? Before you even like proceed
Or,
in certain with certain people, right?
oh yeah, definitely. Because I would say like I learned a lot about people in college, and you learn that people like that's the world. That's your coming into the world experience. And so I've had some individuals like stab me in the back, things like that. It really developed me as an individual. And so when I went into like the workforce, it really like pre-prepared me. And so now I just look at life as this situation may happen today, or this situation may happen, and this is how I'm going to deal with it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Because a lot of times it's just more people have personal problems. It's never really like business. It's personal problems, and so they try to put business around it to try to control you as an individual, and that doesn't work for me.
Yeah, man. I think that's good that you've kind of experienced certain things early, and then now you can see it, and then and I think even though sometimes like we can see certain things happening, like or what could potentially happen, sometimes things can and shall always like sometimes not go the way we expect it to, but
Right.
a lot of times it's on us, I think, to decide like how we want to internalize it and then proceed moving forward.
True.
Yeah.
True.
Getting older now, like, and seeing what's going on in the world today, like, how do you feel about what you see? You seem like a pretty positive man. I feel like you have a positive outlook on life, but like a lot of times in mainstream media, they show a lot of the negative stuff and like push like negative stereotypes. Like, how do you feel about those type of things?
One, I feel as though that like it's caught my attention now. Like there's been so many things that has happened like in the world and in the media that like I had to like really take a step back and say, okay, I need to pay attention to this now. And so for me, I'm a little frightened. I'm not gonna lie. Because I live in a state that's still with the segregation and treating any individual who isn't like Caucasian or European descent differently.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, it's like I really just stay in my own lane. Like I go out where I need to go. Yeah, I may go hang out with friends and stuff and things of that nature, but like I'm not going to places or areas that I'm just not comfortable or I don't know people in.
Mm-hmm.
Because you just never know what the outcome is going to be as a result of that decision.
Mm-hmm. I've never been to the ATL, man, but I've heard like good things about it as far as like strip clubs. Like, have you ever been to Magic City?
Oh yeah, I went there like the first I moved here, bro. Shit.
What was your experience, man? You got to paint the picture for me as someone that always heard about it in music, and I'm like, damn, I want to go there one day, man.
It's just like like beautiful black women, like you see black girls and you see like they look good and stuff like that, but when you see like a whole room full of them and like they just doing all this new shit, because we used to go down to we going down to Washington Park.
Yeah. But St. Louis had some good strip clubs. The East St. Louis area is
They
known
not
for
like
strip
these,
clubs.
bro. They are not like these at all. Like they not like these. Like the amount of money you see throwing out, like it's a whole baller ass fucking experience, bro. Like I would say that this is the best place for everything.
Yeah, I feel
Really,
you. What about Freaknik? I know Freaknik got canceled, right? They don't really do it, or do they have something similar these days down there?
they don't have nothing like that. Like they asked the last mayor if they could have one more go,
Yeah.
and they said no. They said no. We want to try that. But like you hear so many stories, but like I wouldn't say that there's a lot of stuff that go on here. Besides like the main things, like there's events and everyone kind of flocks here from out of state. So people are going to meet people and they're going to do a lot of different things, and it's going to be a lot of sex, but people come here to let loose.
Yeah, for sure. Club 112, that was kind of big. Like, I've never been there, but always hear about it through music. Like, does that club still exist today?
No, the club's no longer there.
Mm.
Like clubs only last really for a season here. And then it's off to something else.
Mm-hmm.
But You remember the Loft in St. Louis?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
their sons have opened up like a really hot spot here in Atlanta. It's called Boogaloo.
Oh yeah.
That's kind of where everyone goes. So, you know, they have like food, they have like, it's just like a dope spot to be. And so, like, it just really, that kind of brings you back home because when you're inside, like, you can see the people, like, everyone that works there's from St. Louis. So, you know, they have on St. Louis caps and stuff like that. So, like, it has a dope ass feel to it.
Yeah, I feel you. What is like the music scene like down in the ATL?
Trap music every day, man. Trap music every day.
Yeah.
Trap music.
Is,
And like the thing about it is it's like it's everywhere you go. It's at restaurants, it's at Walmart, it's in the Target. Like they play trap music everywhere.
yeah.
Like that was like the first time I had ever seen a Hooters so lit, bro, was at the Hooters in downtown Atlanta. Like it was nothing but black girls that worked in there. And then they just played trap music in there and they'd be dancing on the table. Like you know, when we used to is the one up in what, Fairview? Like nothing like that.
Yeah.
Nothing like that.
Do you have any like favorite artists from the ATL currently or that you listen to?
You know, we all listen to the Baby, Moneybag Yo. I still like Future and 2 Chainz. Like I still like them. Like they really, and the Migos. Like I still listen to some of their older stuff. Like when I first moved here and before some of their mixtapes. And it really kind of, I feel like that it acclimated me, bro. Like right into Atlanta. Yeah. And so everywhere I go, I feel like this is where I'm supposed to be.
That's good. I'm happy that you were able to you know get to a place where you feel comfortable and you're happy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, even though I think you probably, like you said, you living down there probably opened your eyes to a lot of things that you didn't experience like in other places that you lived at, but I think your experience down there overall seems pretty positive though.
Yeah, it's pretty positive. I will say the big thing is just striving harder every day. It's like, okay, what can I do next? Or what can the next post look like so I can gain some business, you know? Because there's so many people doing the same thing that you're doing that it's like, that's the only thing that I think about. It's like, how do I keep myself relevant?
Yeah, I think this will be good information for people that are curious about getting into real estate. How does like the pay system work? Like, are you do you have like an hourly pay as well as commissions off of what you each home sold, or is it strictly commission based?
It's strictly commission based. And so you have to get out there. You have to create your own campaigns. You have to do your own marketing. Or if you're paying for it, you know, but it's strictly on you. And so, but the payouts are so big that it's like it helps you, but it's definitely all on you. You're an independent contractor, 1099ing it. But yeah, if that's something that you want to do, or you have that hustle, drive, and mentality, like real estate's for you.
Yeah, so it's not for people that are afraid to go without a potential paycheck every week or 2 weeks or so. You know, it's not for the faint of heart, right?
You can't do that, no. You'll drive yourself crazy.
Yeah.
And typically a lot of people that are in real estate, they have multiple things going on. Like for me, like I do three things. Like I do HR consulting, I'm in real estate, and then on the side I do like some workforce development, volunteer planning and initiative type stuff. So it's like it keeps you keep a constant flow, but when the payouts come from real estate, that's really kind of like your bread and butter.
I got you. When did you get back from your vacay?
Oh, I got back on Tuesday, and that shit was like, that was crazy, man. Like I went down there with some people that I went to college with, and I ain't drank so much like that in a long time. Like it took me 2 days. I got to like lay in the bed, bro, like recovery mode. And then we all on the plane together coming back. Because, you know, I'm the only one being dropped off in Atlanta, but they have a layover. We drinking on the plane. I'm like, I'm ready for y'all to go home.
Yeah. You're a grinder though, man. You deserve that time. I feel like, you know, you deserve to like get loose a little bit and just relax, man, because you put in a lot of work, man.
But you know, for me, like I really don't recognize that. Like I just work because I feel as though that's something that I'm supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes down to it, like even when I'm partying and stuff like that, I still feel like I'm working in my mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Even when we were on this trip, like a friend of mine told me, she said, you were having a conversation in your dream about a contract and you're arguing it in your sleep. I said, damn, I need this trip.
Yeah. Sometimes I feel like it's easy, like whenever we get into certain things, it's easy to let it consume our minds, and then when we face it every day, like sometimes I feel like the dreams they become like part of our dreams.
But I think for me, like I think as we get older as individuals, that's what our life really becomes. Like as much as we want to like have like the life that we we work like an entry level job working at Burger King or some shit like that, we don't care because we like, okay, we have our parents and we can like do this and still have fun. But like when it's your job like that, like that's your life and you have no choice but to really fall into that. Like I don't party or hang out as much as I used to. When I moved to Atlanta, like all of that really kind of shut down because it was like, all right, you want to live in a major city, like you got to play major city ball. So
the real estate in ATL is it higher compared to like how would you compare it to like say California to Texas to Illinois to New York?
I would say California, Texas, and then it's Atlanta.
Even New York?
Well, New York is like that's a whole other ball game up there. Like all of that shit's up there is expensive. But as far as I don't know, it just has its own market because like it's like still the cheapest place to be. And that's why a lot of people from New York and other places like California and Texas, they all move here because it feels for them like it's a cheaper situation. They can relax a little bit. Most of my clients have come from out of state. I'm relocating someone from DC as well as someone from like Miami.
Yeah, I heard to buy land in like Georgia is fairly cheap right now, but that's what I heard. So I'm not exactly for sure. Like,
it's cheaper. You can get a lot. It just depends on where you're getting it. Outside of like the perimeter of Atlanta, like you can find some really nice, decent stuff. Like I was out in what was it, Warner Robins, Georgia. It was like maybe an hour away from Atlanta, and I almost bought this plot of land for $5,000.
What?
Yeah, like you can find land like that. But it just depends on what you want to do. But as far as Georgia is growing, a lot of people feel as though that's where you can still pick up things. And so they come down here and they really kind of sew it up. Like the Canadians, the Jewish community, like they all come down here and they've bought up a lot of land down here.
Yeah, I think Tupac's mom, before she passed away, like that's where she was living at in Georgia. I think she had like a decent sized like piece of land down there and she was just chilling, I think. Yeah.
And that's what, because it's a lot of it down here. And like, a lot of it's wooded, but you clear it out and do what you want with it. But I think a lot of people are buying it up now because they're waiting on like the marijuana law to grow.
Yeah, what is the marijuana law in Georgia now? It's still illegal?
Illegal.
It's
illegal all the way around.
Even medicinal?
Get caught with it. You figure it out. Like, get caught with it. Like, I'm not playing with it.
Yeah, damn, man. Isn't it so crazy that we both are living in America, but the laws in Georgia are so different than out here in California where I'm at, like where we can get on an app called Weed Maps and have that shit delivered to our crib in an hour,
It's dope, bro.
When I think about like what we were talking about earlier with like politics and stuff, like it's hard for like I feel like a president to like be the face of the whole country when the laws in every state in the US are vastly different,
That's why he doesn't have to deal with it. It's the senators. They deal with the bullshit on that. And then they bring it to the president and the president's like, no, they don't want it. They're just conservative.
Yeah. But it's like when I feel like people, they talk politics, they always have that face of the president. No matter who it is, that's who they look to and say, you know, because of this president, so and this and this is happening, you know, when in reality, as you said, I feel like it is like more like local governments and state governments that are basically, you know, the people that are running shit, you know, in certain areas, you know. So
For sure.
that's why it trips me out when people get so fucking honorary, or they get so angry when people talk shit about one side or the other, or this president or that president, when they might not really know, like, you know, what the laws and shit, you know, are, you know, in different states and local governments and things of that nature. You know what I mean?
But I understand, like, I don't understand why we have that. Like, why is it so difficult from one place to the next? Because at the end of the day, it's going to all open up at one point. Yeah. We're all fighting for the same thing. Like, why is it too conservative in this state versus it being in this state? Like, California and Colorado, like, weed has been legal there for like forever. Like, even when I was in college, I was like, oh shit, like, yeah, like, this is what they're doing out here. But I come here and it's just like, it's like slow. Like, it's slow on everything. But it's like, I think it's a money thing. And trying to figure out how they can turn that into revenue. I think that's what makes things take the longest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. As I think, yeah, you're right. I think as easy as it is to say, okay, there's a blueprint in certain states on how weed was legalized, and then these are the numbers of how much revenue we're bringing in off of taxes. You can see it, but I think it gets deeper. Like, once you go into, like, say, Georgia, and they're like, okay, the majority of the people here are conservative, and they don't want to see, like, they don't understand the effects of weed, because it's been stigmatized for generation after generation of it being bad, right, in their mind. So they're like, nah, we don't want that, you know, just off of maybe they never even smoked it, you know.
And I think that's sometimes what it is. Like, you've never experienced it, so you don't want it. But a lot of times I think it's a dollar thing. How do we tax it? Like, how do we figure out that piece without it being so obvious? Mm-hmm. Because once they figure out they can make some money off of it, look at Vegas, look at Colorado, look at California. They figured it out.
Yeah. All right, Sherman. Thank you again for your time, man.
You too, man. Thank you.
All right. Have a good weekend. I'll talk to you soon.
You too.
All right. Thank you.